Vegas and Orlando made it to the Virginia jail, but they don't have to worry because Billy Bob here is here to bail them out because they killed his daddy, the mayor catfish. One of the officers there, Kyle, told him no, that they couldn't do that because they have to process them in, go through the procedures. But Billy Bob didn't want to hear it. He wants to get to them boys and he wants to get to them now. But then old Sheriff Roscoe stepped in and he told him, look, we can't release him right now. Maybe you can talk to Tami when he gets here. I guess Tami is like the detective or something. Woohoo, and Billy Bob didn't like that response. And y'all, he darn near called Vegas and Orlando triggers. But he couldn't do that. He couldn't do that because it was a trigger who hired your country ass. Oh my gosh. But he reminded Roscoe that they're a part of the same organization, which is the quote-unquote Dixie Mafia. But Roscoe was like, I don't care. I'm running this. He told Billy Bob and his boys to go on down to the coffee shop, get some breakfast, and wait on Tami to arrive. Donna is by far the most self-absorbed character on this show. We see her coming in the morning after she got her bones with Brother Minister, while Junior sat on the couch drowning his sorrows in a little glass of wine, my favorite. And although Junior is feeling a way about his mother now being a murderer, he's got bigger fish to fry. He broke the news to Donna that Sonia is now pregnant, and he told her that he wants his wife back. At least he's not making this long-awaited confession while he's in Hellfire Club. And Donna did the nice grandmother thing. She congratulated him, but she will not have Elsie and Chippy raise her grandbaby. With everything that's going on in light of what just happened, she's worried about Chippy. She's not feeling remorseful. She's not depressed. She's not crying. She's a savage now. She's made her way into the club. And this was a touching moment between her and Junior. She admitted to him that she had made some bad choices that she was not proud of. In our next scene, we have LC here pulling out of the cooch for long enough to realize that his sons still haven't made it home. He tried to get Vegas on the phone, but of course there was no answer. And this is day number 2, so he had to finally go ahead and admit to Chippy that he done effed up real bad. He told her that he overplayed his hand with the mafia, but he was gonna have a meeting with KD later on that morning just to see what was going on and if it heard anything. Sonia is now at the clinic. She's ready to move forward with terminating the pregnancy. So the counselor came over and told her that she's going to have to go through some type of counseling or a final meeting before they move forward with this procedure. And Sonia was like, save your speech. I'm a nurse. I know what to expect. I'm ready to go. The counselor told her that she understood, but by law, she has to offer her these services. So then she took Sonia to the back to see if there was something else that she could do. So Sonia, if you're a nurse, then you already know how this goes. Like, follow along, play the game, and just keep it moving. Orlando wants his one phone call to his lawyer, but Roscoe went down and told him that he's not going to call anybody. And Vegas is there to tell him, calm down, everything's going to be okay. But he is right. Like, they're not going to let us call anybody. He had to remind Orlando who was killed. It was Catfish, right? And he's a part of the Dixie Mafia, also mayor of that town. They've arrested 2 black men who were standing over the bodies. So no, they don't have any rights at this point. And Vegas is desperately trying to, he's used to it, he's used to prison. He knows what's going on. But Orlando is such a hothead. Like, he don't want to hear none of that. He's just going off at any chance he gets. So when Tami arrived, Billy Bob tried to tell him that he needed to get at the boys, but Tami told him he needed to wait on the senator who was going to be coming later on that evening. So Billy Bob was happy about this. So I guess he and the senator are on the same page usually. But could this be the same guy that LC made a deal with through Christopher? So now that the senator is coming, Roscoe and the boys, they want to preserve Orlando and Vegas so that they could dish out their own punishment. So he's going to deny that they're even there. Now, Don is very anxious that Junior calls Sonia and get her over to their place so that they can reconcile, lovey-dovey and do the mommy-daddy thing. And she told Junior how important it was that he's there for Sonia because she knows how it feels. Then she went on to tell him the story about his birth and what she went through. And she poured on the extra sauce and went on to tell Junior about what she went through as a single mom, the decisions that she made, and how lonely she felt, which led her her to make other decisions, right, that weren't so good for her or the baby. So now Junior knows the entire backstory, right, and how Chippy actually saved him. Like, how can you be mad at that? Hopefully this will leave room for their reconciliation with Chippy, his real mama. Sonia has 2 more days to think about what she wants to do with this pregnancy. She made it back home and she ran into Chippy. She was really upset because Chippy had already known about the pregnancy because she thought that London told her about it. But, Chippy had already found the ultrasound in her jacket. Well, no, I think it fell out of her shirt or something. And of course, the first thing that Chippy wants to do is tell Junior, but we already know she told him last week. She said that the way that Junior's been treating her, he don't deserve to know anything. So LC is now on his way to the Hellfire Club to hold his meeting with KD. He's sitting up there drinking liquor and telling bad jokes, his usual. So of course LC is worried about his sons, and that's what he's asking KD about. And KD is telling him, look, because you've been so aggressive in taking care of the mafia and taking them out, that has made the target on Vegas's back even that much bigger. So KD basically told him, if you're worried, you should be very worried. He told him that the chickens have come home to roost. Rio is in the car and he's calling Paris. Paris had agreed to meet him at the hospital, but I guess she forgot because her and cousin Curtis are out and about trying to find Niles. So she ain't really thinking about Rio right now and his issues. And why is Rio mad at Aunt Coretta? They're at the morgue and the funeral home is there ready to pick up Margaret's body. Then Aunt Coretta reached out to touch or console Roman and he said, don't touch me, like he was upset or something. I don't know, maybe he was just over emotional, but he told her to make sure that they took care of Margaret. Paris and cousin Curtis did make a little leeway when they got to the florist. They went in there and the son of the owner was being a little bit disrespectful. I mean, he's disrespectful to his mom, so what do you expect? But cousin Curtis took care of all of that. Oh yeah, he did. And this was a smart move because they got them to send them over their surveillance tape. She did tell Paris that the guy who bought the roses was tall and good looking, but Niles somehow disconnected the security cameras while he was in there and then reconnected them when he left. And to make sure that they didn't forget about who they were, Paris pulled out this huge wad of cash and told her to let her know when Niles came back. So you think she ain't gonna call her? Oh yeah, she calling her. Speed dial. So Rio made it back to the hospital and he's there talking to Aunt Coretta. And Coretta was like, oh, I'm so glad that she's resting in peace now that she told you. And I'm sitting here thinking to myself, when y'all gonna tell Roman? Like, they need to know everything. What's the holdup? And yeah, this is a sad and somber moment, but you're still talking about it. So just go ahead and tell him. And you need to go ahead and tell him before something happens to her. I mean, God forbid, but I mean, come on. So Brother T finally made it to the mosque to talk to Elijah. And he told Elijah that Brother Minister had a message for him. He gave him the phone and we briefly heard his voice over the phone. I don't know, but then they cut it out. Maybe he said something because then after that, Elijah said that I need to go and talk to LC in person. So clearly he said something. So Katie made it to the police station where they're holding or supposedly holding Orlando in Vegas. Katie told him that he came down to help him with the situation, to keep the crowd under control. But Tami and Roscoe said they got it. They've got it under control so much that they even let Orlando and Vegas go about 9 o'clock that morning, which was complete BS. And it didn't take Katie long to catch on to that. He requested that Tami transfer them into his custody. But Tami said no, that he couldn't do that because they're being held for murder. So Katie started to ask him, do you have a murder weapon? Did you find any blood on their clothes? Like, what evidence and proof do you have? And Tami said he didn't have any of that, but what he did have is them standing over Catfish's dead body. He told him that those were the only 2 suspects that he has. Then he got a little spicy. He was like, do you know that person in that cell is Vegas Duncan? And they're still trying to figure out how he got out of prison. Tami told him that the case is out of his hands. He called the senator, and the senator is going to be arriving tonight. And this is quite interesting because isn't Katie the one who set this all up in the first place? Roman is on the subway, and I guess he's headed home or wherever he was trying to lay low until he ran into Vonnie and his boys. Now, the first thing that came to my mind is I thought Vonnie was a heavy roller, right? Why are they on the train, the subway, him and his boys? Unless all the money that they had in the world was taken the night that they got robbed. Because when he killed Brandon, he looked good. He was sharp. It didn't like he was riding the bus to me. But anyway, Roman took off running, and of course they ran behind him. There was a little pow, a couple of shots fired, but no one was hurt. And then Roman jumped on the other subway and he lost them. Well, they caught up with him, but they couldn't get to him before the doors closed. So Billy Bob and the Hillbillies are still at the police station waiting for Orlando and Vegas to be released when the senator showed up. So apparently the senator is his uncle. Billy Bob told him that it was a family matter and that they could handle it themselves. But the senator said, no, we're going to go out back and we're going to talk to him and we'll bring him out shortly. So Roscoe went down to the cell and he handcuffed Orlando in Vegas and did not allow Orlando to make his phone call. Instead, he told him that they were coming with him and then they left. So now Rio is giving Aunt Coretta a ride home and they're just driving along and Rio doesn't know her name, so she tells him her name. Then he posed the inevitable question if Roman was his brother and she told him yes. And everybody just sitting around so quiet as if this is normal. I would be yelling from the rooftop, somebody give me some answers, somebody tell me something. Everybody just sitting so subdued as if it's normal. Girl, tell him the entire story. So then we have Orlando and Vegas leaving the Virginia jail, going with Roscoe somewhere. They don't know where they're going, but Vegas is advising Orlando to just be quiet, just chill out. But Orlando is a hothead, right? He's just going to get his 2 cents in no matter what. Vegas told him to keep calm and stay on alert and to be ready. He basically told him, look, just follow my lead. Whatever I do, just follow me. End scene. And yeah, I really like this episode. It kept me on the edge of my seat as usual. Like I'm sitting through each scene. Are you going to tell him? When are you going to tell him? When are you going to do it? What's going to happen? So this was a pretty good episode. Even the hillbillies, the costumes, the hats, the jeans, the guns, like they really looked the part. I really enjoyed that. Even though they're a group of racist pricks, the cinematography on point. I'm just ready to see what's going to happen next. Have you guys watched the episode yet? If you have not, then you're in for a treat for sure. But if you like this video, then give it a thumbs up. I'd appreciate it. And if you're a fan of Carla Weber's The Family Business, then go ahead and sub to the channel for more videos just like this one. Thank you so much for tuning in today to Ruthless TV, where I'm bringing you more than just a recap. Stay safe, everybody, and I'm going to see you on the next one.